born and raised in a Christian home. Got away from that later in life. In high school, started experimenting with drugs and went from using to selling, and eventually became pretty big time. I ended up moving to Atlanta, and just a quick disclaimer, the things that I did was not a reflection of my parents. It was a reflection of my own choices that I made. I had a great set of parents. They were Christian parents. I was actually adopted. So it was really cool to experience God's love through a family that didn't know me, and they took me in as their own. And so they raised me the right way, and thank God as I progressed in the crime that I was doing, ended up the third time I got in trouble, I ended up in the federal prison. And I remember going in there, and it was just like all the stuff, all the things that they had poured into me as a child started to come out. You know, there's a verse that says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. And I was just grateful for the sacrifice that they made to make church a priority, and to make sure that they revealed the love of Jesus to me. So when I went into the jail that day, I was blown away to see men in jumpsuits praising the Lord and holding hands and crying out to God. And I kind of had a revelation that I couldn't get away from God. I felt like my whole life I was running from it. And I realized that it didn't matter where I went, He was there. And really that was a springboard, just seeing His love, His unconditional love, pushed me into a place where He became a priority in my life. You know, the Bible talks about those that have been forgiven much love much. And understanding that love that He has for us, it just pushed me into a place of just chasing after Him. And I really just, the whole time I was incarcerated, I just got signed up for all, kind of like Josh's testimony, I signed up for all the classes, started reading the Word, studying the Word, singing in the choir, singing in the praise team, and just really getting to know the Lord. And towards the end of my sentence, the Lord just kind of had me sit down, and I went into a season of prayer in the Word, and that's really all I was focused on. I was still leading classes, teaching classes, but everything else, I kind of sat down, and the Lord just began to really build me up to prepare me for when I came home. So when I came home, I ended up doing 15 years, almost 14 years and 9 months. So 3 years shy of a 15-year sentence, and sentenced to 17 and a half years. But while I was there, I just took advantage of the time and pressed in. And so I felt like everything that I learned through that experience was preparing me for what God had for me on the outside. So I come home immediately, and I would throw this out there to any of the young folks out there that have maybe gotten in trouble, or anybody that's made bad choices in your life. Get plugged into a local church. You know, get plugged into a local church. Have that accountability. You know, get under a solid pastor that can lead you in the right direction, guide you in the right direction, and surround yourself with people that love the Lord. You know, association, influence, and environment is everything. So I came home, I got plugged into a church, just plugged into the community, started doing outreach with Take the City, and we were going out in the community, leading a Bible study at my house. And then eventually, once I got off probation, I started going into the jails. And then I ended up pairing up with Andrew and doing Reach School, Take the City. And just every day I got a job at FedEx. So when I was at FedEx, I would literally be listening, most of the time listening to the Word as much as I can, listening to worship, sermons, but I would also be talking to people that were struggling and going through some of the struggles that I went through. And so I would always have my Bluetooth on, and in the process of trying to help somebody, I had one of the ladies at church reach out to me, and her son was going through some things, and we ended up connecting. And through a series of conversations over a couple months, he came out of being homeless, and he came out of addiction, and he got help, and he ended up meeting Josh. And then, he relapsed. And so Josh was trying to help him on one end, and I was trying to help him on the other end, and I ended up meeting Josh. And the company, Able Electric, was growing so much that Josh didn't feel like he was really doing his part on the ministry side as good as he could. And he was talking to the Lord about it one day, and the Lord was just like, I didn't tell you. The Lord said, I told you it had to be done, but I didn't tell you you had to do it. So he asked me to come on board with Able Ministries as the ministry leader. And basically it was pretty much everything that I'd already been doing, like going in the jails, leading Bible studies, rescuing people off the street. So everything that I had basically learned when I was in prison, and then everything that I'd been doing up until that point, he was asking me to do as a position. And it was almost like a no-brainer, But of course I still prayed about it, and within a couple of days, I hung up the keys to my FedEx truck, and FedEx became a memory. And so I've been here now going on 3 years, and just getting to disciple men, getting to go into the prisons, getting to rescue people off the street, get them into recovery, and then equip them once they're done, and then send them back out, into the marketplace as sons. And it's just cool being able to impact the earth, impact lives, and then just pour into these men's lives, and then watch them go out and in turn, impact others in the world.